spring equinox is a fantastic time to create a little bit of sacredness, a little bit of ritual, and think about what you want to create in the coming months. How do you want to reinvent yourself? What habits do you want to pull in? What do you want to see move forward? What do you want to nurture? Hi, I'm Sunny. I'm a spiritual mentor and intuitive strategist, and I absolutely nerd out on seasons, seasonal transitions, and how they can be a total blueprint for how we can do life out of resistance and in flow with the world around us. This ritual is going to support you in getting present to those things and thinking about those things for yourself. You're going to need a couple of supplies. You're going to want a writing utensil and a piece of scrap paper. Doesn't have to be a fancy journal, although that's your thing. I totally support it. You're going to want a candle and something to light the candle with. And finally, you want an object from nature. And this can be super simple. Just step outside your home. You can grab a blade of grass, a leaf, a flower, a stick, a rock. It can be anything, just something from nature that you feel drawn to. Grab your supplies, get comfortable, and I'm going to guide you through a ritual to get present to how you want to invest your energy this coming spring. I'm going to be off camera for most of this to support you in focusing on what you're doing. So you're just going to hear my voice, and I'll have visuals on the screen to support you in staying on track. All right, now that you have your supplies and you're nice and comfy, let's get started. I'm going to start by asking a series of questions, and my invitation to you is to ponder them and write whatever comes to mind on your paper. It could be a few words, a drawing, doodle, a symbol, full sentences. Just write whatever comes. And know that eventually I'm going to encourage you to destroy the piece of paper, so don't invest time in making it look good. The point here is to allow thoughts to come to you, move through you, and then exit your body onto that piece of paper. And if nothing wants to come through you onto the paper, that is totally okay too. Just place one or both of your hands on the paper and just let them rest there. All right, let's get into it. The questions to consider, and make those notes on your paper. How do I nourish my body? How do I nourish my mind? How do I nourish my soul? What am I ready to release? These could be habits, ways of being, thought patterns, relationships, physical belongings. What am I ready to release? If I could reinvent myself, what would I transform about myself? If I could reinvent myself, what would I transform about my life? In what areas of my life am I ready to call in expansion and growth? Now, I invite you to pick up your object from nature. If you don't have one, I'll share something on screen for you to focus on. And as I ask these next few questions, consider that object that you gathered from nature. If you feel called, you can continue to add things to your paper. Is your object perfect? In what ways is it ordinary? In what ways is it miraculous? Is it pretty or attractive? Is it useful? How old is your object? How much longer will your object exist beyond tonight? What do you have in common with the object? How are you connected to it? I'm going to move us now into a time of reflection and meditation. If you feel like you need more time pondering with your object, you're welcome to pause me now. If you're ready to move on, I invite you to put down your writing utensil. You can keep your nature object in your hand if you like. Get comfortable, and if you're in a safe place to do so, close your eyes. Take a few deep, cleansing breaths. On your next breath, allow your ribs and your belly to expand fully. Pull that air all the way into your body. One more deep breath. Eyes closed. Sink into your chair, your bed, whatever you're on. Before we move too deeply into a meditative experience, I'm going to read to you a short story. And I encourage you to continue to breathe deeply as you listen. It is about a 6-7 minute read. So you breathe, you focus, and you listen while I read. The Egg by Andy Ware. You were on your way home when you died. It was a car accident. Nothing particularly remarkable, but fatal nonetheless. You left behind a spouse and 2 children. It was a painless death. The EMTs tried their best to save you, but to no avail. Your body was so utterly shattered you were better off, trust me. And that is when you met me. What happened? You asked. Where am I? You died, I said, matter-of-factly, no point in mincing words. There was a truck and it was skidding. Yup, I said. I died? Yup, but don't feel bad about it. Everyone dies, I said. You looked around. There was nothingness, just you and me. What is this place? You asked. Is this the afterlife? More or less, I said. Are you God? You asked. Yup, I replied. I'm God. My kids, my spouse, you said. What about them? Will they be all right? That's what I like to see, I said. You just died and your main concern is for your family. That's good stuff right there. You looked at me with fascination. To you, I didn't look like God. I just looked like some man or possibly a woman, some vague authority figure maybe, more of a grammar school teacher than the Almighty. Don't worry, I said. They'll be fine. Your kids will remember you as perfect in every way. They didn't have time to grow contempt for you. Your spouse will cry on the outside, but will be secretly relieved. To be fair, your marriage was falling apart. If it's any consolation, they'll feel very guilty for feeling relieved. Oh, you said. So what happens now? Do I go to heaven or hell or something? Neither, I said. You'll be reincarnated. Ah, you said. So the Hindus were right. All religions are right in their own way, I said. Walk with me. You followed as we strode through the void. Where are we going? Nowhere in particular, I said. It's just nice to walk while we talk. So what's the point then? You asked. When I get reborn, I'll just be a blank slate, right? A baby? So all my experiences and everything I did in this life won't matter? Oh, not so, I said. You have within you all the knowledge and experiences of all your past lives. You just don't remember them right now. I stopped walking and took you by the shoulders. Your soul is more magnificent, beautiful, and gigantic than you can possibly imagine. A human mind can only contain a tiny fraction of what you are. It's like sticking your finger in a glass of water to see if it's hot or cold. You put a tiny part of yourself into the vessel, and when you bring it back out, you've gained all the experiences it has had. You've been a human for the last 48 years, so you haven't stretched out yet and felt the rest of your immense consciousness. If we hung out here for long enough, you'd start to remember everything, but there's no point in doing that between each life. How many times have I been reincarnated then? Oh, lots and lots and lots, into lots of different lives, I said. This time around, you'll be a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. Wait, what? You stammered. You're sending me back in time? Well, yes, I guess, technically. Time as you know it only exists in your universe. Things are different where I come from. Where you come from? You said. Oh, sure, I explained. I come from somewhere else, and there are others like me. I know you'll want to know what it's like there, but honestly, you wouldn't understand. Oh, you said, a little let down. But wait, if I get reincarnated to those other places in time, I could have interacted with myself at some point. Oh, sure, happens all the time. And with both lives only aware of their own lifespan, you won't even know it's happening. So what's the point of it all? Seriously? I asked. Seriously? You're asking me for the meaning of life? Isn't that a little stereotypical? Well, it's a reasonable question, you persisted. I looked you in the eye. The meaning of life, the reason I made this whole universe, is for you to mature. You mean mankind? You want us to mature? No, just you. I made this whole universe for you. With each new life, you grow and mature and become a larger and greater intellect. Just me? Well, what about everybody else? There is no one else, I said. In this universe, there is just you and me. You stared at me blankly for a while. But all the people on Earth. All you. Different incarnations of you. Wait, I'm everyone? Now you're getting it, I said with a congratulatory slap on the back. I'm every human being who ever lived. Or ever will live, yes. I'm Abraham Lincoln? And you're John Wilkes Booth, too, I added. I'm Hitler? You said, appalled. And you're the millions he killed. I'm Jesus? And you're everyone who followed him. You fell silent for a time. Every time you victimize someone, I said, you were victimizing yourself. Every act of kindness you've done, you have done to yourself. Every happy and sad moment ever experienced by any human was or will be experienced by you. You thought for a long time. Why? You asked. Why do this? Because someday you will become like me. Because that's what you are. You are one of my kind. You're my child. Whoa, you said, incredulous. You mean I'm a god? No, not yet. You're a fetus. You're still growing. Once you've lived every human life throughout all time, you will have grown enough to be born. So the whole universe, you said, it's just an egg, I answered. Now, it's time for you to move on to your next life. And I sent you on your way. From here, let's move into a time of meditation. I invite you to breathe in to the notion that we are all perfectly imperfect. Breathe into the awareness that we are all infinite in finite ways. Make sure you continue to breathe. Nice deep breaths. Allow your mind to reflect on the journaling we did earlier. How do you nourish the various aspects of yourself? What are you ready to release? In what ways are you ready to reinvent yourself? Take a deep breath as you consider where you're ready to call in expansion and growth. As you consider these things, allow yourself to develop a sense of marvel and awe at how amazing you are at taking care of yourself. Allow yourself to wonder at the ripple effect that your actions have on the world around you. As you hold your object from nature and you reflect on how it's miraculous and how it's ordinary and what you might have in common with this object, consider that you might have more in common than you originally allowed yourself to see. Keep breathing. On your next breath, breathe into the notion that the world around you, the universe that we operate within, is simply an egg. Our egg, our incubator. A safe space for us to focus on raising our collective consciousness. In your mind's eye, imagine a candle, burning softly, flickering. Allow yourself to stoke that imaginary candle into a bonfire. Take a deep breath and imagine what would happen if you placed all the parts of yourself that you don't like, all your traits, habits, thought patterns, behaviors, opinions, actions, everything about yourself that you're not proud of. What would happen if you placed all of them on the flames of that bonfire in your imagination? What if you allowed those parts of yourself to simply disappear into the ashes? How does it feel to consider releasing those things, those parts of yourself, forever? What do you imagine rising from those ashes? Take a deep breath. And again. I'm going to leave you with a few moments of silence here to imagine what you might reinvent yourself to be out of these ashes. Don't forget to breathe. As you envision this reborn version of yourself, this phoenix that is you, notice what feelings are coming up in you. Notice where in your body you experience these feelings. as we shift from the snow-filled, inward-focused season of winter and step into the active energy of spring. Bring this phoenix self with you. I invite you to say to yourself out loud, if possible, I am ready for what is next. I am ready for what is next. Again, I'm going to leave you with a few moments of silence. Take a nice deep breath. Begin to bring your awareness back into the room and the space that you're in. Perhaps wiggle your fingers and toes. It might feel good to roll your head from side to side. Bring your awareness back into your body and the physical space that your body is in. Take one last deep breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. As you come out of this meditative state, I invite you to once again make any marks, words, doodles on that piece of paper that you feel drawn to do. Remembering that that piece of paper is a vehicle for all the thoughts and feelings that have moved through and out of your body and onto that piece of paper, even if you're just holding it in your hand. So take a moment to add any final things to that paper. The final part of this ritual is pretty highly personal, so I'm going to talk you through how I do it and encourage you to figure out what works best for you. So what I find to be deeply satisfying is to take that piece of paper and burn it. Now, obviously, do this in a very safe way. It might be best to do it over a sink or a bathtub, but you can also take it out into nature. You could take it to a fire pit. You could do it over a grill. I've also put it into a tin can and put the piece of paper inside, lit that on fire. The tin can keeps it safe. The important element for me here is that I create a bit of a sacred container in the way that I do this. I take it as an intentional connection moment between myself and the divine, between myself and God, my higher self, Mother Earth, the universe, whatever is your jam. It's that intentional connection point. It's also being very thoughtful about tapping into the energy of spring that's happening around me on the planet. The entire Mother Earth around me is birthing new life, is in this rebirth process. Mother Earth is literally taking what they composted over the winter and using that new fertile soil to push forth new life. And I want to do the same thing in my life. And I really invite you, as part of this sort of creating of a sacred container, to pull in that affirmation we used in our meditation. I am ready for what is next. So as you burn that piece of paper, you release all those thoughts and feelings. Say to yourself and divine, I am ready for what is next. You can do this with friends. You can do it alone. I tend to do it either at noon or midnight on the spring equinox. That's what's really traditional from an Ostara pagan perspective. But friend, it's all made up. So don't let that stop you. If you've missed that date, just do what works for you. So taking the time to go through this guided experience and then allowing things to move through you out onto that piece of paper and then burning that piece of paper is this just beautiful, satisfying symbology of what I'm ready to release and then the ashes that I'm ready to be reborn through. So that's the end of our meditation and ritual, and I am just so curious, how was this for you? If you're open to sharing in the comments, I really would love to hear. If you want it to be more private, you're welcome to find me on one of the platforms or shoot me an email. But I love hearing back from people. I really genuinely love human beings. We don't know each other real well yet, but you'll learn that about me. I genuinely love humans, and I love hearing from you. I have some free resources for you, some things that can help you go deeper into this. So if you're interested in that, stick around. If not, thank you so much for being here and for trusting me to guide you through this. So if you're interested in going deeper, I do have a free seasonal living guide. There's no strings attached. It's about an hour of content broken into really short, digestible chunks. And it comes with different exercises that you can do to actually live things out in your everyday life. I'm all about experiential learning. And so this guide is going to take you through all 4 seasons and how, if you follow that cycle of time, that wheel of time, it can create this really simple, elegant blueprint for how to think about life and how to think about your year. So if that's of interest to you, there's a link below. Also below is a link to a video of me reading that story, The Egg, without all the meditation around it, just the story, in case you want to come back to it sometime or maybe share it with a friend. And then finally down below is a link to my website, where if you are interested in this kind of stuff, I nerd out on seasons. I'm also in school to be an ordained minister of metaphysics. So my whole jam is helping more analytically minded people integrate spirituality into their lives. So if you're curious about that kind of stuff, feel free to find me in all the places and follow me. And that's really the last thing is, if this is of interest to you, like, follow, subscribe, do all the things so that you can be up in my space and I can be up in yours. So again, thank you for trusting me to guide you through this. I wish you a very blessed Ostara Sabbat, a wonderful spring, and I hope to see you in my world all the time.